Hello once again, people. Welcome to yet another Quake Saving mod and whatnot. This time around, we're going to be checking out yet another custom monster. Yesterday I checked out the first custom monster we've really run across, and now we're doing the second. Willy the Spider. Yes, what a fun name that sounds. Anyway, this was made on October 9th, 1996 by the Birthing Chamber, which sounds like something that just makes custom enemies, interesting enough, by Ken Turner. So yeah, it doesn't include any custom sounds, curiously enough. I don't like that, but everything else is included at least. So yeah, we're going to have different stuff, and you can like add it to like any new custom levels that you wanted. You basically just could have a custom entity, throw it on all your maps or whatnot. And yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Of course, trying to add new entities into your map files seemed to be an absolute nightmare, at least on Quake Army Knife. So I'm not exactly sure, without creating a whole new map or whatnot, how I would kind of get that working. Needless to say, it's kind of a nightmare. It's not fun. Really, what I'm hoping for is some sort of randomizer or something, kind of like what we saw for items, but for enemies. Because then we can allow, basically, for randomizers for items, and a randomizer for enemies. And then we basically get a fully random game. Essentially, you get maps that are the same, and you basically have that as your arena setup, but then everything within it would change, and that would be pretty awesome. So, needless to say, one thing I'm really hoping for at this point is some sort of thing that allows me to get enemies at deathmatch games. So what we saw for that mod, but you know, having it not just be what's there. It needs to be new entities, otherwise custom entities can't spawn, because it's only going to be spawning what exists already. So needless to say, not exactly the best and most ideal. There's really no alternative at the moment that really is beneficial to me, that at least I can think of. Needless to say, like I said, there's just not much. Like I said, it would work for custom items. So if you really want to goof around and fight around with some custom items and just fight the same monsters over and over, but with some new custom overpowered weapons, would count. But for new enemies, it doesn't. There's no way to do that yet. Hopefully, like I said, we can find something, because that would really be nice. That's really probably one of the highest priorities. That and some more challenging enemies, just modify the original enemies and make them harder, make the game more hardcore in general, something like that. Like I said, basically both could work together and make some nice swarm-based gameplay if we just had something that could summon in enemies. That's really all we need. If this was Unreal or a little bit later, you basically could just use a summon command, but this game has nothing of the sort. So you're pretty much at a loss. You pretty much have to have the level modified beforehand, which isn't fun at all, like I said. I'm not actually sure how you can put in custom entities, because it's all the files are completely separate, so it's there's no easy way to merge them together from what I'm seeing. So needless to say, not fun at all. I don't like Quake Army Knife, and this is one more reason I don't like it. Because there's no freaking tutorials on any of this. I've tried looking, I've tried figuring out how to just put a stupid custom entity into my maps. This has kind of been one of the biggest priorities of using a level design software, because I wanted that capability. And no, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. They don't making life easy for me when it comes to Quake. So needless to say, not fun, but, you know, if we have, like I said, a way to, modify the QC, we won't really need to care about maps. We'll just basically have, maps as arenas, but then it could have, ultimate respawning with just every enemy in the QC. I could easily modify it around as needed or whatnot and support it there, but if I don't have that, we can't really do much with it. So, yeah, needless to say, not much you can really do at the moment. So yeah, basically this is Willy the Spider. He appears, he does stuff. It's very large. It's about the same amount of space as, say, a Vor would be in your map to have it. And also, there's basically an edited version of E1M1 with basically the dogs replacing the spiders. This isn't actually a new map. It kind of is, because it's its own separate BSP. But in order to create it, you essentially need to run out, you don't actually get the BSP file, you get a map file, and then you, have to, just extract the entities from the map file and put them into the new BSP. So needless to say, it's not really its own separate BSP file. It's not really its own map. It's just a modified one for this one test and whatnot. That's really just a modified thing. So, yeah, anyway, this was made with Lightwave 3D, Fractal Design Painter, several custom utilities. Ken Turner is arachnophobic, live in beautiful Springfield, Montana. He's married with 2 cats. Amazing fact! Anyway, you can't basically include these modifications in commercial products, but anyone else can basically use it anywhere else, as long as, like, the README request remains intact. But yeah, beside that, really, everything's kind of going, yeah. Let's actually load this thing up and see what in God's name it looks like, because I think I got my UNM1 working. It was a pain to kind of figure out, because it's different from load up your normal BSP file. Like I said, I had to, like, do no entities and whatnot. And had to, like, have, like, a vanilla UNM1.bsp take out, like, the entities from this new file and just extract that and not the brushes from it. So yeah, we'll see how this works. I have no idea. So, of course, first of all, we have nothing here. We just have a generic game because grunts are the same. So, we'll just immerse some grunts as we normally would. And of course, our first Rottweiler is when you go down this elevator. I also should mention it's modified E1M1. It doesn't actually replace out Rottweilers. Kind of like the Slug did. It replaces some enemies, but it's not actually an enemy replacer. It's its own separate code, and you can basically have both enemies at one time in the game. It just said where you can actually see a new enemy. Oh god! Oh god! Oh god, it's a spider! Oh god, it's a spider! Along came a spider and shooting fireballs at me! Should I be nervous? Okay, this spider is very, very pathetic. Hey! Hi, buddy! How you doing? Well, this guy's pathetic. He looks angry, but my god, is he pathetic. You're a very pathetic four. You know that? You sound like a four. You may be intimidating, but I guess because he replaces Rottweilers. Hi, let me just stand right here and kill you. Wait, what the? Oh look, the corpse bounces. There we are, dead spider. Along came a spider and. Come on, kill me. Is there a new custom death message to these guys? Hi. No, there's no custom new death message. So, yeah, needless to say, this ain't actually officially new enemy, everyone. Because there's no custom death message. Or would you count it because it's kind of like the Ogre Marksman and it's its own separate entity. That's actually an interesting case, because it is its own custom death message, it just doesn't have one. But it is its own entity, as you can see. You know, it's not a replacing entity, or your modified entity. No, it's its own separate entity. It has its own message, it's just, you know, nothing there. So, needless to say, do we add you? I have no idea! Hi! He has such a happy face. He's such a friendly buddy. Well, yeah, I'll have to play around with this guy, but for the time being, I need to figure out what in God's name we're doing. Because, like I said, this is a weird one. See, with the Slug, it was easy. The Slug had a custom death message. But, the Anomaly didn't. It was basically a replacement for the Fiend, and it kept the Fiend death message. This is a weird one, because it doesn't add a new death message, but doesn't have an old one. It basically is blank. And if we're going to consider the Ogre Marksman its own separate entity and its own enemy, I almost want to really argue that this is its own separate enemy. So yeah, I think I'm going to make that case. I think that's kind of the way we should kind of go with this, because it doesn't make sense that, like I said, the Ogre Marksman, which does have a death message as well, would be treated as its own enemy if this isn't. So, needless to say, I think basically, and also, like I said, another thing about this, it's not just its own standard death message. If it was saying you died due to a war, it would, of course, be just a modified war. It wouldn't be anything grandiose. However, it has no custom death message, which means specifically it was modified to have no death message. And I guess an absence of a death message is in turn a custom death message. as technical as that sounds. So yeah, really a weird exception to the rule. Like I said, kind of like a weird specific thing we kind of had to figure out with this particular enemy. But I think this is definitely an important rule going forward, knowing that the omission of a custom death message means in turn that it is its own separate entity. It doesn't need to say words such as player was killed by X. What it needs is to have the old death message removed. So yeah, that's actually the more important part, not the addition of the new message. So yeah, that's nice flavor text, that's nice to add, but it's not the most important thing. Like I said, the most important thing is the removal of the old message. So, needless to say, a rather weird change to the rules, but at the same time, pretty much the same. I'm the only one who's really been modifying all this stuff to begin with and kind of like ramp all this stuff up, so it's pretty similar to what we had before. It's just a different part of the mindset in my eyes. But I think it specifies a bit more clearly. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. It's been an adventure, and I shall see you all, well, I guess next time.